Good morning, everybody. Um, my name is Travis Douce, and I am doing the breakfast bash this morning. And we are going to talk about Git and specifically git-rebase. And git-rebase is a tool that allows you to rewrite Git history. So we're not going to touch on the topics of when is an appropriate time to use it, and when it's perhaps not an appropriate time to use it in relation to pushing to remote branches and stuff like that. We're just going to talk about git-rebase. So as I mentioned, git-rebase allows you to rewrite Git history, and oftentimes I will use git-rebase when I'm working on a feature that I don't particularly know how to solve, and I will make a lot of commits thinking that preserving each step of like this bigger problem that I'm attempting to figure out. And then when I finish, like perhaps when I finish the feature and figure it out, I might have 50 or 100 commits. And a lot of times I will go back and rebase and clean up my Git history. And this is important because it makes reviewers of your code, it makes it easier for them to review your code. You always don't want to rebase, but we'll talk about that later. So anyway, I have this file called Little Red Riding Hood .txt, and I'm going to open it up. And the reason I've chosen Little Red Riding Hood is because I've presented on Git at a few conferences, and I'm going to steal some slides from that presentation to illustrate what git-rebase is. So, and we're just going to write in prose. So the first thing is we need to create a Git repository. So we will do that. Let me make sure. So we're going to initialize the Git repository. If we ls, we have a file in the Git repository that's not being tracked. So we're going to add it. And if we do git status, there, we have the new file. So we're going to commit this one, and we're going to say this is the initial commit. And then, like always, when you're creating a feature, you should create a feature branch. So we're going to create a feature branch, and I'm going to name this Travis Douce introduction, because that's what we're going to be writing. So this is a command that creates a branch and switches over to it in one command. So let's go and start writing our introductory sentence. So the first thing we want to write is, say, once upon a time, there was a girl, and we think to ourselves, like, this is a really good start to our introductory paragraph and our introduction. So we want to preserve it. So if we do git status, that file's been modified, and let's add. I'll try not to use any git shortcuts and aliases. And if you do git status, it'll be staged. So let's commit it. And I'm going to make some horrible commit messages, but for illustration's sake, I'm just going to write what the commit was specifically, which was once upon a time there was a girl. And this way we'll be able to look at our Git history and know what the commit refers to. All right, so we're reading this introductory sentence like there's a better way to do this. So say once upon a time there was a dear little girl, and we think, yes, this is a big improvement. I want to preserve this because this might be what I actually want in the end. So git status, it's modified. So I'm going to add it, and I'm going to commit it. And we'll just call this dear. All right, so then we go back working on our introductory sentence, and we think, how can we improve this? Perhaps once upon a time there was a dear little girl who everyone loved. And like, yes, that's really good. So we want to make sure we preserve that. So we add that file, and then we commit it. And this was everyone loved. I misspelled that, but that's okay. And then we go back to our introductory sentence. We're like, I still think it could be improved a little bit. And we say, oh yes, there was a dear little girl who was loved by everyone. Yes, that does sound better, I think. So let's commit that. That was git status. So we add that file, and then let's commit it. And this was loved by everyone. I can't see my text I'm typing because there's Google Hangouts hiding it. So I apologize for misspelling. So now we have a couple commits that we have made. So let's look at them. If we do git log is a way to view our Git history. The most recent commits are at the top. So this is our most recent commit. Our initial commit was here at the bottom. And if we look at it, we really have these three commits. Was loved by everyone, everyone loved, dear, and once upon a time there was a girl. Those all really are about one sentence, like the introductory sentence. And if we push this up to remote where people were going to review it, we're really giving the reviewers a lot of noise. Perhaps in this case, they don't really care that we modified the introductory sentence 3 or 4 times to get to our final version, which is really, really short. And then so we have a lot of drafts of this introductory sentence. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll use git-rebase to rewrite my history and clean it up. So the way that works is you look at your Git history and you copy the SHA where you want to rebase at. And the command is git-rebase interactive, so we're going to be interactively rebasing. And then the SHA that we want to start rebasing at. And you have to add this little caret if you want to, and this signifies start rebasing at this SHA, not the child of this SHA. So if this caret wasn't here, we'd actually start rebasing at this commit. Okay, so when we hit enter now, there will be, your text editor will open up, which will probably be Vim unless you've configured it otherwise. Will open up this git-rebase interactive prompt for you. And notice that the most recent commits are now at the bottom here. This is our most recent commit, and our initial commit, our first commit, is at the top. And git-rebase allows you to rewrite history in a number of ways. And Git prompts you with ways to rebase. So there's a couple ways. You could reword a commit, so you're just editing the commit message. During the rebase, you could stop doing the rebase and rewrite that commit entirely. You could squash a commit, meld a commit into a previous commit. That sounds a lot like what we want to do. There's also this option called fix up, and it's like squash, but it discards all the commit messages that you've written and just will use the commit message that all the commits are being squashed into. And so that's the option that we want to use. So we could just change the pick to, F. So F correlates with this. We could use fix up. We could type fix out, or fix up if we wanted to, but I just want to use F, the shorthand. And so what this will do, this will squash this commit into this commit into this commit into this commit. And we'll use this git commit message. So let's say we also want to not use this git commit message. We could use, we could reword it. So it's going to squash this into this, this into this, this into this, and we're going to reword this git commit message because the command for rewording is R. Okay, so now we've told Git how to rewrite history. We will save and close this editor. And now the Git our Git opens up another prompt for us, and this is the Git commit message that we will rewrite. So this is the reword portion. So let's say our Git commit message now is adds introductory sentence. And then if we save it, now the rebasing will have worked. So let me increase the size a little bit. You'll see down here, this was the command we entered, and we did all our editing and our text prompts, and then it says, hey, we have rebased. And it says, hey, we have successfully rebased. Okay, so let's look at our history now with git log and see what our new history looks like. You'll see that we have just 2 commits. We have our initial commit, and we have our adds introductory sentence commit. So if we look at the history, like so I just looked at git log p, which is, I forgot what p stands for, but it's the verbose. It displays the diff that is associated with the commit. You could see that adds introductory sentence commit only has the addition of this sentence. So it didn't preserve all the intermediate commits we made, it squashed them into one. Also, it's very important that, and I realize that my terminal history is getting kind of messy, but it's important to note we're rewriting the Git history. So you can see the SHA that's associated with this commit that we rebased starts with 93ED. And this will be a different SHA than what was associated with the adds introductory sentence commit initially. And I'm going to scroll through history so we can look at it. And it was 8CCE. So rebase really rewrites history. It changes the SHA that's associated with a commit. It rewrites the parent-to-child relationship that you have created. The last thing I'll do is I will demonstrate. Let's see if I can increase this. These are some slides I made at a presentation at DevNexus and a few other presentations. And this is like a graphical representation of what Git Rebase Interactive does. So this is as if we were looking at git log. The newest commits are at the top and the oldest commits are at the bottom. We have 4 commits, 1, 2, 3, 4. Head and master are at the most recent commit, which is 4. And we spoke about head in a previous lesson. So what will happen is we want to start rebasing at commit 2. This was analogous to once upon a time there was a dear little girl. And we do our git rebase interaction from the command line, and what Git does is conceptually anybody on the Git core team would probably say this is not how it works, but this is the way I envision it. It pulls off all the commits that you want to start rebasing off and kind of plops them off to the side. And it kind of makes a copy of them the way I think of it, because Git actually preserves all your original commits. You can then access to Git reflog. That's a complete another topic. But anyway, so we have a copy of these commits now that we want to rebase, which is 2, 3, 4. And because we're fixing these commits together, which squashes them all together, it does this. It squishes them together and it creates a new SHA. And the new SHA now is number 5. And then it places that new commit on top of the commit where you want to start in, where we wanted to rebase at. And places head and master at that commit. And then really we've created a new base, hence rebasing. So that's it for Git rebasing. Does anybody have any questions?
It's kind of funny. I just contributed to like an open source project, and it was the first time I'd been asked to rebase. So I did this for the first time like a couple of days ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful, but it could be, you need to know when to use it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it makes for a clean history. And also you could rebase, like when you're making branches off of master. A lot of times you'll see where people where master will be moving forward and the branch that you make a branch off of master and then master moves forward. And then so your branch is really behind the master branch. And then oftentimes people, to update their feature branch they're working with master, they'll merge master into their feature branch, which really makes an ugly Git history. And another way to make it cleaner is to rebase master onto your feature branch. And perhaps we could cover that in a different breakfast bash, but it makes the history a lot cleaner. So that's really cool, Benjamin. If you ever want to talk about rebase, I would love to.
Cool. Thanks.
No problem.